Hi there, I'm Lisa Marie. Welcome or welcome back. Are you ready for spring? Ready or not, here it comes. This DIY screams, I'm ready for spring. I've got this butterfly cut up, a metal butterfly wind chime, and some gorgeous kind of teal contact paper. I love it. I'm going to paint the back side with my Rust-Oleum white linen chalk paint. And then on the other side, I'm going to take the contact paper and I just cut out a square that's bigger than the butterfly. And I'm just going to press it on and kind of roll off the paper as I go. That way I don't get any bubbles. And then I'm going to take my brayer that I got at Amazon, and I'm going to use that to flatten the whole surface. And then I'm going to take a utility knife and cut around all the edges, just to make sure there aren't any little excess edges hanging over. I'm going to take my nail file, and I'm just going to, in a downward motion, go all the way around, and that takes care of it. I'm going to take some little snips, and I'm going to cut off, or actually just pull off, those extra pieces that made it a wind chime, and then I'm going to position what's left of it on top. I'm going to slide a little piece of paper towel under each of the top wings. I want to paint those white. I know the orange and yellow is pretty, but for this I wanted it to be white. I'm going to dry it off with my heat tool from Amazon, and then I'm just going to carefully bend the wings in and kind of position them so they look like they're in motion more. And then I'm going to use my hot glue because this is very light, doesn't require more, but of course you can use something more heavy duty like E6000 if you want. And then I'm just going to place it right on top of the other butterfly. Now this piece is going to go on a sign, and I'm going to use this Dollar Tree decal and this Halloween sign. I had it from Dollar Tree a long time ago. I'm going to remove that ghost on the front, and we're actually going to make the back the front now. I'm going to paint it in my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to do kind of a rough coat because I want this to look distressed. And once it is all painted, I'm going to, just kind of go up and down so it looks like it has some wood grain lines in it. Then I'm going to take my square ruler and draw some shiplap lines. First, I'm going to cut out the Be Humble portion of this decal because that's what I want for this one. I look at butterflies as they're just so beautiful, but they're not aware of their beauty because they start off as, caterpillars. So Be Humble seems like it goes perfectly with that. And here I am drawing my shiplap lines with pencil. And I learned this technique from my friends Kay and Trish at the Crafting Cousins. I'll link them down below. And what you do is you get your hands wet and then you just kind of smudge the pencil mark. Now, if you over smudge, that's really okay. I wipe away the excess of the water, and when it's all done, I'm going to go back with my white chalk paint and a very chippy brush, and I'm just going to go over it till it looks like the way I want it to. And I can always add more pencil if I want and do the paint and just kind of go back and forth till it looks just the way I want it to. And now I'm going to take that chippy brush and just do the dry brushing. And that's where you just put a little bit on your brush. You wipe most of it off. That's what I have that little paper there for. And then you go back over, and that way you don't over paint. But I want it to look old and distressed, and this really gives that look. Then I'm going to take my sanding sponge. I'm just going to lightly go over those lines so that there isn't like kind of raised up portions from the paint since I went over it again. I just want it to be smooth. Now that it is, I'm going to take care of the back. I'm going to cover it with some craft paper. So I'm just going to cut a piece. I had a little wrinkled piece that I had already torn off. I figured why not use it? It doesn't really matter. So I'll get it closer to the size, and then I will just go ahead and hot glue it directly on, and then I cut away the excess. I find that it's so much easier to do it this way than to try to cut the exact shape. And then I just take my little scissors and I'll just go around. Now I don't want to lose my hole, so I'm just going to take a pencil and poke right through, and that way it'll go through the paper, and I can go ahead and put the hanger back in. And then I decided to take the side of my pencil and just kind of go around the edges. Now I am going to change, this is the original twine that came with it, but I'm going to change it to some white twine that I have from the Dollar Tree. So right now I'm just figuring out where am I going to put the butterfly and where am I going to put the decal. So I think I like where I've got it. I'm going to go ahead and peel off the decal. It is sticky. So I'll go ahead and just set that on there right where I want it. I don't need to put Mod Podge for this. And this is going to be an inside sign, and so I'm actually not even going to put Mod Podge over the whole thing. You absolutely can if that's something you like to do. And then I'm going to take my E6000 and I'm going to put that kind of around the back of the butterfly, and then in the middle of that I'll add some hot glue. That way it'll stick right away so I can keep working if I need to. And then I'm going to take my butterfly and I'm going to put it at a slight diagonal up on the top left. And then I'm I'm going to take that white string that I had and attach that. This was so inexpensive, basically $4 plus paint and things like that. And I bought all these things before the prices at Dollar Tree went up, and I hope you guys like it. With my spring theme, but also keeping in mind my pets, I am making this gorgeous spring door hanger that acknowledges my pets. I've got this little wood round from the Target dollar spot. I'm going to actually use a different burlap than the one you see there, and also some other buffalo check ribbon and florals from the Dollar Tree. I'm using my burnt umber apple barrel paint. I'm going to mix it with a little water to make a stain. I'm going to take some painter's tape, and I'm going to tape off a top section and a bottom section, protecting the middle for something else. I'm just going to use a foam brush to apply my homemade stain, wipe the excess off. I'm going to do it 3 times till I get the right color. I don't want it too dark, but I also don't want it too light. When I'm happy with the color of the stain, I'm going to remove the tape and then reposition it, because I'm going to paint that center area with my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. I'm going to do several coats. I'm just going to kind of dab it around the tape because I don't want it to bleed. And then I'm going to do the sides also where the white is. And now I love that. Removing the tape, it's so satisfying. Perfect straight lines. Gotta love it. Next, I'm going to take my sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to lightly sand over the white because I want it to be smooth, and then I'm going to put a top coat of my polyacrylic protective finish. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my hanger on there. I'm using a little bit of a thicker twine than was on there before, and I'm going to put the knots in the front. And I'm using my bow maker. I don't really need you for this, but because I'm just making loops back and forth, but I'm going to do 3 different sizes, so I wanted to move the pegs in order to give me those 3 sizes very quickly and easily. So that's all. And once I have all of them, I'm just going to make a little slit on each side, and then I'm going to tie some twine around the center, and then I'm going to tie them all together and start fluffing my bow. I'll be the first to tell you that I am not an expert at bow making, but I am learning more and more, so I'll just do my very best. That's all I can do. I'm going to dovetail all of the ends where you just fold it in half and then cut from the bottom going upward, and you get a really cute little tuxedo tail. And then I'm going to take some cardboard. I'm using a little tumbling tower block as a guide to draw a little dog bone. And then I'm going to just cut out like 4 pieces of cardboard that fit the middle of the bone just to make it thicker. I'm going to hot glue them together and then paint it with the Warm Buff color by Apple Barrel, and just take my jot marker and write the word dogs. And for the O, I'm going to make a little pot. I'm going to use Mod Podge over the top of that, and then I'm going to write on it. That's going to go right in the center of my bow, and that's how I'm going to hot glue it right there. And I just thought that would be so cute on this. To attach the bow to the wood round, I'm just going to pick it up. I've already got it positioned. I'm going to put hot glue under various places just to hold it down, and that's going to work just perfect. I can also put the little loops wherever I want them by doing that, and that holds them perfectly. I'm going to take my greenery from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to snip off the little stems. That way I can place them wherever I want around the top portion of this wood round. You see, I've just got them set in there. Once I have them where I want them, I'm going to put hot glue on the ends and then stick them in, push it down, and make sure that it adheres. And there it is. I love the way that looks. Now I'm transferring them to the middle of the wood round. It came out so cute. And yes, I noticed that the little piece of the pot was missing after I put it on there. So I went and found it on the vinyl that I had weeded out. And by the way, no paws were injured in the making of this video. And I fixed it. Thank God I found it, or else I would have had to reprint it. That was my bad. I love this one, and it was so simple to make. I hope you guys like it too. About this DIY. I've got these napkins from the Dollar Tree, these 2 little flower wood cutouts, and some rope from Walmart and Mod Podge. I end up not using the rope, but you'll see what I'm going to use later. So I'm just going to give them a quick sand, make sure the surface is nice and smooth. These are 2-ply napkins, which means you have to remove 1 ply. So if it's a 3-ply, you have to remove 2 plies because what you want is just that top piece that has the print on it. If you love doing decoupage, I have a mega video with just that and I will link it down below. I know you will really enjoy it. Once I get 2 napkins separated from the extra ply, then I save that extra ply just to wipe things up later. You know, I never waste anything. I'm gonna put my Mod Podge all over the top and not lumpy though, like I try to flatten it out as much as possible. And then I'm gonna carefully start in the middle and lay down my napkin and work from the middle out. And I do have to reposition it once because that happens sometimes. They're so thin, but be really careful. I normally put saran wrap down and then try to smooth it out, but I didn't have any handy and I would recommend that. I'm gonna dry it with my heat tool from Amazon. Then I'm gonna take a nail file. I love this trick. Only going in a downward motion, go all the way around the sides gently and it comes off perfectly. I just love it, but make sure it's dry. Don't do it wet. I need to drill a couple holes or 4 holes in these. And so what I'm gonna do is lay them on top of each other the exact same way, clamp them together, and then I'm gonna use a little piece of craft paper on top so that I don't make a big mess. I'm gonna drill the hole. And I'm gonna make 4 holes total. I'm done with that now, and I'm gonna just go ahead and lay some Mod Podge right over the top. I'm doing that because I want to do some dry brushing. There I am with my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, just very lightly dry brush because I didn't want it to be so vibrant. And then I'm going to go around all the edges with the white, and I actually am going to paint the back white as well. And then I'm going to just lightly sand the back so it's smooth. Now I do seal the whole thing when I'm done with my polyacrylic protective finish. I decided that I wanted the edges to be a little bit distressed, so I used my burnt umber acrylic paint from Walmart, and I just used a little makeup sponge and I went around the edges and I cleaned up any excess with a little wet paper towel. It's really not necessary to distress the edges. I just decided to do it. I'm not sure it added anything in the end. Got this little needle that I'm going to use. Actually, it's a big needle. And this is the twine I'm going to use. It's white twine from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to put it through one side on the bottom and then the other so that you'll see in a minute what it's going to look like. So of the 4 holes, there'll be one going across to the one next to it and then another one going across to that one. So basically I doubled up the twine, and there you have now 4 pieces are sticking out, but it's really 8 because they're doubled up. Now I'm going to put some beads there because I want this to be able to stay stiff. I don't want the top one to fall down. I just thought these beads would look so pretty and I left them unfinished. I ended up putting 6 beads under each one. So that's 6 times 4. And I got my beads on Amazon. That's the best deal I've ever found. And then I added 1 bead on the top, and I am going to get all of the strands, and I have to thread them through like 2 pieces at a time. And then I get 1 bead at the top. And I'm going to tie a knot right over that after I put the level to make sure that when it's hanging, it is going to be level. When I just did the knot, it was really hard to get it level. So by putting the bead there and holding that in place, that made it more even. I'm going to secure the top bead on each corner there, and then the bottom one on the bottom piece. I've got this hanger that broke, and I've got the metal part of it, and I just put it through the knot and into the hole of that bead and twisted it in, and it kind of screwed right in. And then I'm securing it with hot glue, and I'm going to then wrap that excess twine all the way around and make it look like it's really attached. But then I still don't like the way it looks, so I take another piece of twine and I just wrap it around the whole thing and kind of cover up the imperfections, and then go up a little higher on the hanger. And if that doesn't make sense, you will see what I'm doing and it will make more sense. It kind of cleans it up a little bit and makes it even more secure. I love this one. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I hope you guys like it. Super easy. This definitely cost me under $5, and a lot of the stuff I had on hand, so that helped a lot. And I love that I was able to craft my stash to make this. I've really challenged myself to do that for many months ahead because I've got too much stuff. Do you guys have that same problem? Let me know down in the comments. I'm going to use some florals from the Dollar Tree, not that one as it turns out. Part of this decal, a pretty spring napkin, a little jar, and a picture, all from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to open it up and take out the glass and the backing. I'm not going to need the glass at all for this. I am going to need the backing, and I'll use that momentarily. And then I'm going to also use that contact paper. I forgot to mention that. I'm going to separate the 1-ply that's on the napkin because it's a 2-ply napkin. Of course, you got to remove that. And then I'm going to figure out how much I need because I want to decoupage the picture frame with that napkin. It's going to be so pretty. So I'm just going to cut out some strips that will be long enough and wide enough to get around the entire frame. And I measured everything. And I will have to piece it together, but no big deal because it's a busy pattern, you won't notice. And now I've got my Mod Podge. I'm going to apply it to the front, the side, a little bit of the back, and a little bit of the inside front. And just carefully lay that down in pieces and then just, pat it down. And then I'm going to continue. I'm just going to show you one side because then you'll know how to do the rest. And once I get that on, I'll go ahead and lay some Mod Podge right over the top of it. And I'm going to dry each section between application. Now I'm going to turn it over and apply Mod Podge all to the front there and then lay that down and press it into the frame gently so I don't tear anything. The napkin starts to get wet from the Mod Podge, so you have to be really careful. You see I'm just tapping it lightly, not pushing hard or anything. I don't want to rip it. And then I'm going to have to cut a little slit in the corners to make it fold under because it doesn't go up straight, obviously. I'm going to do that with the outside corners as well at an angle. Another slit across this one and cut on the diagonal. Doesn't have to be perfect because Mod Podging is very forgiving when you have a busy pattern like this. And besties, if you're enjoying this video, please do me a favor and hit the like button. And then I'm going to cut off the excess and just make sure that everything is covered in Mod Podge now and laying down flat. Now I'm drying it again. And then I'm going to, once it's dry, I can slightly just rip that napkin right off the edge. See, I'm doing it so carefully, little pieces by pieces. And that way it'll be a nice clean edge. And actually that's on the back. You wouldn't see it anyway, but I still tried to make it look nice. So there's one whole side done. And now the entire frame is done. I just think it's so, so pretty. Now I'm going to take that piece that's the backing of what was in there originally, and I'm going to lay it on top of this contact paper, and I'm going to cut out, roughly that size. Again, it doesn't have to be exact because we will trim it. I'm just kind of looking at it, making sure that I have enough, and I do. Then I'm going to take some cardboard, and I had to piece them together with tape that is the right size, and I'm going to go ahead and lay down the contact paper. I always start at one end and only reveal a little bit of the paper, and then as I slide the backing out, I rub it so that I don't get any bubbles or, any creases. I'm going to use my brayer to make it nice and flat against the surface. And then I'm going to take my little teeny scissors and I'm just going to cut around all 4 sides. Now I'm going to take my decal and I'm going to cut off that little extra embellishment on the side of the L because I don't really need it and it makes it too big. And I'm just figuring out where I'm going to position it. I'm going to take my little glass jar, put a little bit of that glue on it, and I've got this pretty green ribbon and I'm going to wrap it all the way around and secure it with glue. Now I'm going to go through all my little flower scraps that I have and I'm just going to piece some really pretty colors together that I think will look good with that frame. So I'm going to get the backing in the frame, nice and secure, and then the actual backing, so the piece I did and then the backing, I'm going to push down the little tabs, make sure it's in there. Then I'm going to remove the decal from the backing and I'm going to apply it where I would like it to be, right on the contact paper. And you can see it kind of started sticking, but it comes right up because it's just a contact paper. It's a nice smooth surface, so it doesn't take any of it with it, and I can reposition it and fix it. And you just press that down. Now I decided I want to add some more ribbon around this because you can see the little ends of the flowers. So I did that. I secured the flowers in with a dab of hot glue, and now I am putting the little glass jar on the picture with some hot glue, and I think it's super, super cute. Now I want to add a little flower and a butterfly, and I'm going to just put those in individually with hot glue just to give it a little more color and fullness. Now I want to put a hanger on. I probably should have done that first. I always forget that. Do you ever forget to put your hanger on until afterwards? Please tell me I'm not the only one. So I'm going to put it on with hot glue. It's just a piece of rope. I'm going to cut those little edges, and then I'm going to take a piece of masking tape. I like to do this to secure the pictures. I actually got that tip from Holly at Hot Humble Pie. I love that idea. And you just go ahead and glue it down, and it really, really is secure now. That thing isn't going anywhere. So I'll put Holly's link down below in case you want to check her out. She's awesome. And now I felt like it was too bright, compared to everything else that I have. So I just whitewashed it with my white chalk paint. You guys, I love this so much. It's beautiful, it's vibrant, and it's so spring-like. And it was under $5 to make. using this mason jar shape from the Dollar Tree, the contact paper that I love, a little piece of faux leather ribbon from the Dollar Tree, a little flower shape from Dollar Tree, and then I've got these little butterflies that I ordered online. It's going to take a lot of heat from my heat tool and a lot of scraping to get that felt flower leaf stuff off, which I finally did. I sanded it too. Now I'm going to put a coat of the Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint on it, and then I'm going to dry that off, and I'm going to paint the entire thing. And I'm going to sand it down just to make it nice and smooth. Then I'm going to take my contact paper and I'm going to put a piece on each side just below the threads of the jar top. And I'm just going to put the top on there and then slowly pull the backing out. That way I don't get any bubbles or anything. And I'm going to smooth it out with my brayer, which is also from Amazon. I'm going to use a little utility knife and cut the excess off. And there you have it, both sides now. And I did sand around the edges too. I'm going to use my bright yellow apple barrel acrylic paint for one of the butterflies. And then I'm going to use my Arteza paint markers for the other two. And I believe this one is fuchsia. I hope I'm remembering correctly. And then the next one is bright orange. Now for this little flower, I started off with the linen white paint, and then I started using like a pink and a yellow, and I decided I didn't like it, so then I brought out this aqua color by Folk Art. I started kind of mixing that in while the paint was still wet. Still didn't quite give me what I was looking for. Eventually, I brought out my agave chalk paint by Waverly, and that was, it's just a more pigmented color. And then I really started dry brushing over the edges and then doing a lot more than dry brushing, even more, added a little more yellow, and then some white in the center. Anyway, I finally got it the way I liked it. I kind of just tapped it a little with my paper towel just to blur that white a little bit. But I think it's good now. And then I decided that the colors on the butterflies were too bright, so I put a little white over them just to kind of whitewash them. And that toned them down, and then it looked really good together. Now I'm going to place the flower kind of to the bottom left. Then use some hot glue to put that on there. That's all it needs. It's super, super light. And then I will attach all three of the butterflies in just, random places on the mason jar. And I think they just look so, so cute. Now I'm going to take that faux leather ribbon from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to cut it down the middle, not exactly down the middle, but I want a thinner piece because when I looked to see that thread area, it was too wide. So I'm just going to hot glue very carefully so it doesn't get bumpy, in a couple of places as you go all the way around. But now the problem is I wasn't thinking I was going to leave it white and now you can't see that faux leather. I thought, okay, I'm going to use something else that brings a little color into it. So once I get this guy attached here, I'm going to take some yellow and white twine from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to hot glue that around those threads using this tacky glue. I just got it and I wanted to try it out. It's supposed to set up a little faster than regular glue, and it does. I wish it was still faster, but you know what? It's better than using just regular glue, so I'll give it that. And I'm going to do these right at the top of the contact paper and then around the little threads. But now you still can't see the white faux leather, so I'm going to dry brush some of that agave on between the yellow and white twine and over the top and on the sides. And I think that helps bring out the white faux leather. You guys, I love this one. You have to tell me what you think. I just love the color so, so much. This was definitely under $5, probably between $3 and $4. What a deal. Dollar Tree hack, I'm going to take this tin planter that I got at the Goodwill for $3. You find these every time you go. I'm going to use my crud cutter and clean it up real good, and then my heat tool to get off the price tag, and then also I need to use some rubbing alcohol to get off the other price. I'm going to use some painter's tape and diagonally tape from one corner to the other, and I'm going to do 2 coats of my white Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. I always say that wrong. Anyway, and then when I'm near the tape, I'm going to paint away from it, so not towards it, but from the tape across. That way I won't have any bleeding. And then I'm going to dry each section off after each coat, and then I'm going to do it to the next corner. And this one, they'll be like touching, the 2 sides will be touching, and then when I do the other 2 sides, they will be touching, so it'll be kind of like, I don't know, kind of opposing corners, if you will. See, there you go. Now the most satisfying part of all, we are going to pull the tape off. And I was very happy with my lines. I feel like they came out really, really good. So that worked out great. I really didn't end up doing any touch up. I mean, there's a little drop there, but I ended up not even bothering with it because it wasn't noticeable. So now that I have these nice crisp lines and my planter is painted just the way I want, I'm going to take my Dollar Tree rub-on transfers, these gorgeous little green ones with the leaves. And I had 2 of each kind that were big like that. So I just cut them up and I'm just going to position them. I'm going to rub them on and check and then carefully pull them off. I did speed this up a little so you don't have to watch me scrape every single one, but I want you to see how the process goes. So here's the next side, and I kind of alternate between the 2 kind of leaves that I cut out. And look at that, it's so pretty, so simple. I didn't need to overdo it. And there's my other 2 corners that are right next to each other. And I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 different pieces again. And I'm just using a little wooden stick this time. It had a better point on it, so I thought it was going to maybe go a little bit faster, and it did. I was so inspired by my friend Leonette. She has a channel called DIY Beauty on Purpose. And let me tell you, she knows how to do things that are so beautiful and simple, and she knows when to stop. And she's helped me so much. So thanks, Leonette. I'll put her link in my description box. You really should check her out. And then I'm going to put some styrofoam that I cut up. It was just from packing, a packing box. And then I'm going to put 3 gorgeous peonies. And I think I got this little bouquet of different flowers at Hobby Lobby on sale. And it also had these really pretty purple flowers with the little green buds. And I'm going to put those in the 4 corners. And then I'm going to use my eucalyptus as filler and a couple other leaves I just had in my stash. So I've learned that you want a thriller, a filler, and a spiller. So the peonies were my thriller. The purple flowers with the long branches were my spiller. And the eucalyptus was my filler, and it just turned out gorgeous. I gotta tell you, this is my favorite flower arrangement that I've ever done, and I absolutely love it. The colors are so vibrant. This was so easy to make. I mean, I thought I was gonna have to put moss in there to cover the white styrofoam. With all the filler, I didn't have to. So let me know what you think about this one. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Excited. I've received this cute unfinished kit. It's called the Hello Spring DIY kit from my really good friend Rebecca at Home with Rebecca Jane. She makes these kits and she sells them at craft shows, on a website, you name it. And I've been dying to do one of these, so she sent me one and I'm super excited about it. I'm going to be putting mine in a tiered tray. So let's start with my chalked paint from Rust-Oleum, the linen white. I'm going to paint all these pieces white and dry them with my heat tool from Amazon using paler colors, so putting the white behind really helps. I'm going to start with this folk art paint, Seashell Pink. It's really a lovely, just gorgeous pale pink, and it's an acrylic paint. And I did all of the tulips in that color. And then I'm going to use the Celery Chalk Paint by Waverly, and I'm going to do all of the leaves below. Now I'm going to do some shading and contouring type of stuff on these after the fact. Assembling my little fence post there. I'm going to use the Burnt Umber paint by Apple Barrel, and I'm just going to put it all over the top of this little like medallion round sign. And it says fresh cut tulips, and then there's 2 little numbers that say 25 and then cents. And I'm just going to use a very fine tip black marker to fill in the fresh cut tulips so that you can still read it. Now here's a little tip. Take some tape. I'm using painter's tape. Just fold the sides onto your mat or your table, and then put your little letters on there or your little pieces, and it makes it so much easier to paint them. I painted those in the white, and now I'm just going to use my Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm going to put the letters right on there. And I'm going to also use that glue and attach my tulips right to the fence, and then I will attach my little fence crossbars or whatever they are right on the front. I just think this is so adorable. I feel like I'm working with miniatures, and it's so fun. It's a lot of assembly and painting, and it was actually super relaxing. I couldn't believe I felt myself actually relaxed. You guys, I need to tell you, I'm not the most relaxed person. So if doing this made me feel relaxed, that's a good thing. And now I'm going to take another pen that's in a darker pink and do a little bit of my shading. And I'm just going to kind of accentuate some of the lines that are there already. And then after I do that, I'm going to take a little brush, add a little water to it, tap it off a little, and I'm going to blur those lines. And that makes it look so much softer and nicer. So I'm kind of doing that in the little top of the tulips right now. And there I go. And do you see what that does? It creates like a shading effect, and it makes it look almost 3D. So I decided to take a darker green pen and do the same thing on my leaves. Now going going forward, you're going to see me do this on other flowers and other things. So I'm not going to describe it every time, but that's what I'm doing. And then I put a little bit on the stem. And you guys, I just think this looks beautiful. I'm adding a little at the base for contouring now of the tulips, and it really looks like they're three-dimensional in that way. So that was a lot of fun to play with. I did the back too because I'm just funny that way about doing the back. I'm going to take my burnt umber and a little makeup sponge, and I've got some water on the sponge, and I'm just going to very lightly distress this fence. Only the fence, because that's the only part that in my imagination would be worn. Like the tulips, you know, they're not worn out, they just grew fresh. I love how this little piece turned out. I'm so excited for the next one. Moving on to another piece, which is a little truck, and this is a Tulip Farms truck. Could this not be cuter? And I'm using another folk art paint in the color of Blue Lullaby, Seashell Pink again, and also in the color of Daybreak. I'm going to use the Celery Chalk Paint again by Waverly. I'm going to be using these same colors over and over. I won't keep repeating it. You'll see me hold them up, but just so you know, this is the color scheme I decided to go with. And again, I'm going to use my chalked white linen paint, or linen white paint, I always say that backwards, by Rust-Oleum, and I'm doing that because I'm using these light colors. And now when I'm using some of the greens that are darker, then I don't need to do that. Well, the other colors I didn't, like this Nimbus, which is like a silvery color. I didn't do it on these because that's a bumper and it's such a small little piece, so I didn't feel like I needed to do that. I also took a black marker and I did the tires. I forgot to film that. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the tulip license plate and the crossbar for the back of the truck. I also did a little of that shading and contouring on the truck to show you where the back of it was, because I wanted it to feel a little more 3D, because it's just a flat piece, but supposedly there's a bed to that truck, so I just did that for the fun of it. Also, I colored in the side view mirrors, I guess, and the lights. I put some white in there. Now that I did the burnt umber on the license plate and that other little wood bar, I'm going to use my tacky glue and attach them. And I also went into the words Tulip Farms and I used my black fine point pen and just to accentuate those as well, so you could see them for sure. Next is the bumper, which I will attach right now. And then I'm moving on to the little back of the truck bed. That's wood. And then I'm going to just glue those 3 tulips right on there. And since I made the truck the pretty blue, I decided to make each tulip a different color. I love that piece. It's just super, super adorable. Now we're moving on to the Hello Spring sign, and I'm going to try something different. I've got this beautiful scrapbook paper that I ordered on Amazon, and I'm just going to figure out what part of it I want to be on the backing of this sign. So I'm just going to trace around it and cut that piece out. I know this is kind of a different thing to do, but I thought it would just be beautiful. I'm going to use my Jot glue stick for this, just cover the entire piece of scrapbook paper, and then I'm going to apply it to the backing. And I'm going to use my brayer that I got from Amazon to roll out any bubbles and make sure it makes perfect contact. Then I'm going to take a little nail file and just in a downward motion go all the way around the sides and get any excess paper off. You see how it's just kind of loosening? You just got to go in one direction only, and that's down, and not too hard and not too rough of a sandpaper type thing. So I'm just using like a medium grit for this. And you'll notice it's just slowly coming away from the side, and there it is. And that's how nice and clean it comes off. And now I'm going to take some white apple barrel paint. I'm just going to paint the back side and then sand it down a little. I actually end up painting a different color later. This is the one where I change like the color so many times my head's spinning. I'm going to put a little Mod Podge over the top of that backing, the scrapbook paper, to protect it. Now I am painting all of this white first, like I did with the other pieces. And then I'm going to take some tape and, do my little trick where I put the letters on it so that it stays in place while I'm painting it. So I'm going to start off with white again on the letters. Now the letters get changed too. So I started off with the letters one color, then picked another one. I'm going to do several of the little flowers in the blue, and I'm going to do some in pink and some in yellow. And I start off with the greenery and the celery. I do end up going in and making that darker but leaving the sides lighter, which is kind of cool, and adding a little bit of the yellow flowers. And then I started off with yellow on the hello sign. I end up changing that to a darker green later. And now I'm just adding the pink for the couple of pink flowers that I want. That's the one thing in this that did not change. Now here's the fern color by Waverly. It's a chalk paint, and it looks so much like the color in the scrapbook paper that I decided, okay, I'm going to do the border of that top piece. Then I decided to go in and do the word spring, which I also changed. And that's going to become yellow. Now I'm doing the very back of that backing piece. So the other side of this is the scrapbook paper. And I really do love that deeper green. It's the only place where I'm really doing that. And I just think it's beautiful with the scrapbook paper. You see now I've changed the word spring to yellow, and I've changed the word hello to the darker green. I'm going to use my Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm just going to apply it around the edges and over the bigger pieces, and then I will turn it around and place it right on top of the backing. And I think this piece came out gorgeous. So unusual to have the scrapbook paper there, but I just really love it. Wanted to try something different, and I think it worked. At least that's what I think. You'll have to let me know if you like it that way. And now I'm just adding the word hello to the top, and then this one will be done. Now don't forget, stay all the way to the end so you can see the big reveal of the entire tiered tray. I can't wait to show you. This one is such a fun piece. It's just this little round kind of wood plank piece that says Fresh Flower Market. And then it's got these adorable little flowers in the middle and a little bit of greenery. So I'm going to paint the whole thing with my white chalk paint like I have on the other ones, just to have a nice base. And I'm going to do the back as well. I'm also going to take a little ruler and I'm going to try to match up those shiplap type lines that are on the front, put them on the back. And I'm also going to go in with a very fine point pen and darken them so you can see them and then blur them a little bit. So now I'm going to put my greenery onto a piece of tape, and I'm going to use the celery color to go ahead and paint those two. Now I didn't put the white under those. I think they're just so small it didn't matter. But I am going to put the white under all the flowers because I want those colors to shine a little more, to be a little more vibrant, and that's what that will do. And so I'm going to have some pink and yellow and blue flowers. I'm going to mix and match the centers and the outside petals with 3 different colors so that it'll just look really pretty and festive and match. And then I'm going to do some shading and contouring with my little fine tip pens and then blur them with a little water on a brush like I did before. And I just love the way that looks. Just kind of showing you up close what they all look like when they're done. I'm going to take my letters and I'm going to use that fern color, the darker green. I think that's going to look really pretty against the white shiplap. And now I'm going to go ahead and try to recreate on the back how it looks on the front. And like I said, I'm just going to tilt it sideways and see where each of those lines are, and then take my pen and I'm just going to kind of draw where the lines are so that I know where to hook them up when I turn it over. And it really does turn out nice. Now, since this is going to be on a tier tray, you could actually see the back of these, and that's why I wanted to make sure they were all finished. And I do that anyway just because I like my backs finished. But, you know, if there's a chance of somebody seeing them, I definitely feel pretty strongly about that. And now that everything is done, I'm going to use my tacky glue and I'm just going to attach the words where they were kind of marked out. I can still see it through the paint. And then I'm going to attach my flowers and kind of arrange them. There's so many different ways you can arrange them, but do whatever you like, whatever, you know, makes you happy. And that's what I did. I've seen it where you put the greenery under the flowers in the middle, and I decided to fill in my little gaps on the sides. And I just tried to arrange my flowers so that different colors were kind of in different places, so it just would look really pretty. I'm going to take a little bit of the burnt umber on with a little makeup sponge and just kind of distress around the edges and a little bit around the back. Just want to make it look similar to the other one that had the white shiplap background. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. I hope you guys like it, and be sure to stick around because we are getting really close to it. And now for the last ones, I've got these 2 tulips in the pots and then the little spring banner. And I'm going to use the same paint colors I've been using all along, but with the spring banner, I'm going to do something a little different, which I'll show you in a second. I painted everything white like I did before, and then I'm just going to go ahead and start using the different colors to start painting, you know, all the different pieces that I need to do. I'm going to use this napkin I got at the Dollar Tree. I've already taken the ply off. It's a 2-ply. I painted every other one of the banner pieces in the pink, and now I'm just going to put Mod Podge on the other pieces and lay them down on top of my napkin. And I'm only doing it this way because they're so small, so I can manage it together. And then I'm going to cut them off and then do the same thing with that back side so that both sides have the really cute napkin on them. I'm just going to rub it down with my fingers because it's so small. Then I'm going to trim the edges so I don't have so much to work with. And then I take a nail file, and I've done this before in this video, and I just go in a downward motion very gently all around the sides, and then the napkin just spreads apart. Now you want to wait till everything's dry to do that, which it is now. And it just looks so cute like this, making sure all the edges are nice and clean. Then I'm going to take a little skewer stick and just kind of poke back through the holes right through the napkin, which is no big deal because I will be putting this on a string. I'm going to take the word spring and I'm going to put it on a piece of tape and paint it in the yellow. And then I'm going to use my tacky glue and put each of the letters right in the middle of the little banner pieces. And I think this is looking really, really cute and very spring-like. I just love it. Wanted to do something different, so that's why I did the scrap of paper in the one and now the napkin in the other. I think that just kind of mixes it up a little. Got this baker's twine from the Dollar Tree in yellow and white, which I thought was perfect, and I'm just going to feed it through the holes through all of these little pieces, and then I will have my little banner. And I absolutely love this one. It's so cute. So many different ways you can do this. And now we're going to move on to the tulips. I'm going to paint the little pots in the yellow. And then I'm going to have one tulip be pink and one of them be blue. And then of course I'll paint the leaves in the celery color like I did before, and I will contour and, you know, accent them a little. I also made a little design on the brim, I guess, or whatever you call that, on the little pots with a marker. And these two are done. And now the final reveal. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love this one. Just look how sweet it is. I added some greenery, a little bit of floral, a bunny or two, added a little pig, got a little house. Oh my gosh, you guys, I just absolutely love how this turned out. Want to get more. Oh my gosh, so cute. And what a great idea to give as gifts, or someone who doesn't consider themselves like creative enough to draw something. They're already made. All you have to do is paint them and glue them together. I am thinking I might buy some of these as gifts actually, because I enjoyed it so much. I know other people will. I hope you love them too. Dollar Tree mirror. I'm going to go ahead and paint it in that Kills primer and cover up the center, so again you won't see lights or my really serious thinking face. I'm going to do about a coat and a half just so you can see a little bit of the silver through it. You know, it did occur to me afterwards I could have spray painted this outside. It might have been a really cold snowy day when I did it, so that might be why I didn't, but anyway, just an option for you. And there it is. I think it looks really nice. Now, I did a pretty good job. I didn't make it super covered because you're not going to see a whole lot of it, and this way it looks a little distressed. I've got this little basket of just extra greenery and flowers and stuff that gets cut off of things that I don't use. So I'm taking some greenery and I'm kind of positioning it the way I want it around. I kind of wanted it to almost look like a little garden lattice, you know, where there's some vines on it. And then I'm going to take some floral wire that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to attach it. And then I'm going to use these gorgeous purple flowers. I feel like they came off the hydrangea pick that I had. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know somebody else out there knows this better than I do. I don't know the name of flowers very well. There's the floral wire that I got at Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to cut little pieces and then kind of position my greenery and my florals and come in from around the back and then go back through to the back and twist it around real tight and then snip off any ends and tuck them in. And I'm just going to do that to the whole thing and arrange it just the way I like it. You could do this any way you want with any greenery, any florals, whatever you like. It's really up to you. You could cover the whole thing, or you could do what I did where it's just sort of viney around and still you can see some of the white. And I just really love that look. It's almost like making a wreath out of this, but we're still going to have the mirror in the middle. So it's just an attractive little wall hanging that has a mirror in it, and it looks very fresh and spring-like and just gardeny, which I really like. Gardeny? Really? Did I just make up a word? And I love those purple flowers. They're almost lavender. My favorite color is purple, so you'll probably see a lot of that in general on my channel because it sneaks in there all the time. I just can't help myself. I love it so much. Half the time I'm wearing a purple shirt too. So, and my water bottle, if you ever see that, it's purple too. Anyway, isn't that pretty? I think it just came out so, so pretty. And then I'm just going to take some hot glue and kind of tack down any really wild ends that didn't lay the way I wanted. And you know, that's just an easy way to kind of manipulate it and make it look just the way you like. And then I'll take out the center and this one will be done. And I just love it so, so much. You have to tell me what you think. And would you ever try something like this with a Dollar Tree mirror? Dollar Tree mirror, I'm going to use some corks. I have quite a few of them. They were gifted to me by my stepdaughter, and I am so excited. I'm going to take this mirror, I'm going to cover the center again, and I'm going to go outside and spray paint it with some matte black paint, and I'm going to make sure that that is covered pretty well. I just used a box so it didn't get all over everything. It was kind of windy actually. And I'm going to use some flowers from just a little stash I have of extra little pieces. I'm going to take all the lavender ones I can find. I love lavender, you guys. It's my favorite. Oh, and by the way, it's purple. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to take this little teeny scissors I have and I'm just going to stab holes in the middle of the corks and see if I can stick that lavender in there. And once I know that I can, then I can actually use hot glue to attach it into the hole of the cork, and that way it'll be very secure. I'm going to do that with all of them. Now I have enough of the darker lavender and the one with white to do every other one as I go around the mirror, and I just figured out where those little kind of square ends are that stick out. I'll put one there. It'll start like where the mirror is and set it down and then hot glue it in 2 spots straight out. And honestly, if you're concerned about the corks moving, I would definitely use something more adhesive like E6000 or super glue. Now I'm going to add some greenery. It's just a little bit of like boxwood that I had left over from a Dollar Tree pick. I just put it all around until I liked the way it looked. This is going to be such a cool centerpiece. You could put a candle in it, a bottle of wine in the middle, or just leave it as it is. What do you think? Bowl hack. I'm going to use this candle from the Dollar Tree. These 3 flowers I took off a pick from the Dollar Tree. And then this was from a pick I got at Walmart, and these are also from the Dollar Tree. I don't end up using those little pink kind of berry ones. I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint, and I'm just going to take one bowl and I'm going to paint the entire outside. And I will do several coats because I want to make sure that it's very solid. I'm going to dry it with my heat tool that I got from Amazon. That thing is a lifesaver. And then I'm going to use some Mod Podge and cover the entire bowl. I just want to seal in that paint. Mostly because I am going to be resting the glass candle holder. Now I'm going to take a little bit of twine and some Beacon fabric tack glue, and I'm just going to put it all around the it's the top edge of the bowl, but for this particular DIY or hack, it is going to be the very bottom. And I'm just going to put that around the entire edge. I'm going to start snipping off the little, like the leaves with the yellow kind of flowers on them, because that's the only part I'm going to use of that pick. And then I'm going to take those little pieces I cut off of a Walmart pick, and I'm going to turn the bowl upside down. Well, actually, in this case, right side up. And I'm just going to hot glue one piece at a time right on there and just kind of hold it till it sticks. I'm going to overlap them because I want that to be a really nice kind of coverage going all around the bowl. It's going to look like a little wreath or a centerpiece in this case, but it'll definitely have that wreath look. And I'm just loving how this is already starting to look. And there we go. All of those are on. I do fill in a couple gaps here and there. And once I do, I'm going to take some hot glue and some rope from Walmart, and I'm just going to put it all the way around, and that's going to help secure those pieces on not just the bottom, but over the bottom and the top of them, whichever way you're looking at it. But that's one of the reasons I put the rope around the bowl in the first place, was that so it would have something to glue it to. I don't think those plastic bowls would be enough to just put those little picks on. Then I'm going to take those little pieces with the little like yellow flowery parts on them, and I cut them up into very small little pieces. I'm going to put them one at a time. I'm just going to kind of put glue on the end and shove them right in between the other pieces, and they stand up a little bit so it gives it a little bit of height and more texture. I'm going to take my little snips, and I'm just going to take any really pointy pieces from those little teeny picks and cut them off. The ones from the bigger leaf picks are just fine. They're kind of rounded. And there it is. It looks really pretty now. And then I'm going to take the 3 flowers that I have. I pulled off the leaves so there's just a little point on them. And I'm going to put them around this centerpiece wreath. And then I'll put a little dab of hot glue on the other side where it pokes through just to solidify that it's in there. I'll do the same with all 3 of these. And of course, those glue webs are driving me crazy. You have to tell me in the comments if they drive you crazy too. I've tried everything. The heat tool, a brush, you name it, they're still there. And there it is. I'm loving how it looks, and there's the candle on it. This was so easy. This Dollar Tree hack using these bowls, I'm actually going to use 2 of them. I'm going to take E6000 and my hot glue, and I'm going to attach them bottom to bottom. So first I'll put the E6000 on, and I will leave space to do the hot glue. I don't like them to touch if I can help it, because E6000 cools down the hot glue too fast and then it doesn't work. So there we go. And now I'm just going to attach them. And I was trying to line up the pattern. It wasn't as easy as I thought, because you know how it is at Dollar Tree. No 2 things are ever the same. I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint, and I'm going to cover this whole entire thing, including the top inside, because if I don't, the area where you see where I glued it will show. So I'm going to do one side, use my heat tool to dry it off from Amazon, and then I will do the other side. And I do some touch-ups, so it's not a full 2 coats, but it probably is almost 2 coats. I just love that bright white. It's so pretty. Of course, I am going to change that. And now I'm doing the inside so that you don't see that one part. You don't have to do it on the bottom too, just on the top. Then I'm going to go in with my elephant colored paint from Waverly. It's a very dark gray, and I'm going to use a very wide brush. I forget what those brushes are called. If anyone knows, please tell me in the comments, because I'm drawing a blank. And it's really good for this kind of distressing, because you just get a little bit on your brush and you're basically dry brushing, but it's like a fan. I think that's what it is, a fan brush. Anyway, I love the way it looks. And I am going to do the inside of the top. You won't really ever see the bottom, but I'm going to do the inside of the top too. And I love the way this is coming out. You guys, this is easy. Seriously, this is such a fast, easy DIY. I had a shoelace that we weren't using, so I cut off the little end and then I wrapped it around and got the right size. And I'm using my Beacon Fabric-Tac glue to attach it all the way around the middle, and it's a perfect kind of garnish or trim for this project. And then I've got these ferns from the Dollar Tree, and I thought, why cut up 3 just to get the ends? I'll take 1, cut it into thirds, and then use my scissors and make it look like they're each ends by cutting it to a point. You'll see what I'm going to do right here. See that? So I just do that on the 2 that I cut off, and then of course the first one was already like that. Way to go. Now I've got 3 end pieces, and I only had to use 1 piece of the fern. And then I've got this gorgeous pink flower. Not sure what it is, but it's really pretty. It had yellow in the middle, so I wanted to add these little pieces that I had left over from Walmart picks. And I'm going to put 3 of those in there, and it just didn't look right sitting by itself. So I grabbed some Spanish moss that I had on hand, put it in there, and then I just set them in there. I didn't even glue it in case I want to change it out, and it's so pretty. How easy is this? Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. You are truly a blessing to me. If you enjoyed this video, I've got another one on the screen. I know you're going to like it. Go ahead and click on it next. And if you do, I will see you there. Until then, bye.